Well, it's a beautiful, warm and sunny Saturday afternoon, May 28, 2016. Calvin Castine, Gordy Little, the hometown cable cameras have traveled all the way across the top of the North Country to what we used to call Hogansburg, the St. Regis Mohawk Indian Reservation, for something very special. I grew up in this area hearing about the Code Talkers, and you may have no idea who they are. They're a select group of Mohawk Indians and various other Indian tribes across the country who were chosen to talk in code and send private messages during the Second World War. And guess what? The entire time these Code Talkers worked, they were never decoded. So there are very few still living, as you might guess. And here we are in 2016, and a few are still alive. And they are being honored across the nation today with special silver congressional medals, silver medals. And there's one guy and his family we hope will be present here today, and his name is Louis Levi Oakes. He'll be honored. Deceased members, about 7 of them were chosen back during the 1940s to become Code Talkers, and they'll be honored today. Congresswoman Lee Stefanik will be here. We're here about an hour early, and already this beautiful spot in the middle of the reservation, the community of Hogansburg, you might know it as Akwesasne if you like to play the machines. It's already started to fill up. It's right in this general area where I watched a lot of spirited, colorful lacrosse games as a youngster, 60, 70 years ago. So the program I have no idea how long the program will be, but the hall is set up to hold several hundred people with chairs that have been brought in. Several members of the media, including our good friend Jack Leduc, are on the scene. The stage is set up. There's also a big screen, flat screen TV, probably to show pictures and maybe a little background of the people to be honored here today. This program is all about Code Talkers. The temperature is right now about in the mid-80s, I would say. It's far more tolerable than yesterday was when it was in the mid-90s, at least in our area around Plattsburgh in the North Country. So stay with us today and bring your friends around the television set and find out all we can find out about the Mohawk Native American Code Talkers. Okay.
All right, Gordy, I'm showing the program here, and it's got some ones that they know, and they got some that are unconfirmed here I'm showing at this point. So it's quite a group of Native Americans. Some of the names, like Andrew Rourke, probably Native American on his mother's side with a name like that, but this is a great ceremony, and I'm going to turn the camera here, and you can kind of turn with me here, Gordy, but this is really quite the facility here as we look around, and they're expecting a huge crowd here. We got here an hour early.
We had no clue before we came here how long the program would be or the extent of it. We knew it was important. Calvin contacted me and said, let's go if we can go, because we felt as though it was very, very important.
We want to thank and recognize the Press Republican. There's a Press Republican article that I saw a week and a half ago. It was mentioning this here, and I said, well, that certainly sounds like it's an important part of the history of the North Country, and it's certainly a part of where Gordy grew up as a child, as an older child.
But you know what? The names here are so familiar to me. The Jocks, the Ransoms, the Whites. There's 7 guys that we know about.
Well, these are the unconfirmed ones.
Here.
Unconfirmed ones. And then there's all these other ones that I showed earlier that are confirmed Code Talkers. So there's 11 of them, or no, 12, 9, 15, 16 of them right here in that list. So here's some of the names that will be honored today with the medals. If you want to maybe read some of those names.
I would be delighted. It should be a nice program, and looking at it, there'll be remarks from the St. Regis Mohawk Tribal Chief. There'll be various other speeches, Commander of the Legion, and various other remarks, including the Honorable Elise Stefanik, who is a North Country Congressman. There will be the presentation of the unconfirmed Akwesasne Mohawk Code Talkers bronze medals to Joseph Robert Hearn, Abe Ransom, Andrew Rourke, Peter White, Edgar Jock, Lewis Ransom, and Philip Thompson. And then the presentation of the Akwesasne Mohawk Code Talkers Congressional Silver Medals that we talked about earlier. Mike Arquette, Thomas Cole, Angus Cook, Lewis King, Alex Lazore, Alex Oakes, Joe Harry Pike, Reginald White, Lewis Levi Oakes, who was mentioned in the news release, Joseph Barnes, Lewis Stanley Connors, Joseph King, Angus Laughing, Charles Lazore, Alex Peters, Mitchell Sunday, and Albert Tarbell. Again, these are familiar names, as I haven't lived in this general area since shortly after 1950. But most of those people were still alive and still living here when I was here way back when. The Veterans Memorial Site will be talked about here today. Cheryl Jacobs, St. Regis Mohawk Tribal Sub-Chief, will be involved. There'll be a special presentation by the Tribal Council, and then the benediction, volley, and taps, and light refreshments. I always have to look on the program for light refreshments, you know that. But the Code Talkers are here. The people are here to honor the Code Talkers, and we're doing this program actually on the weekend of Memorial Day 2016. As you know, there are a great many programs, some of them covered by Hometown Cable. Calvin will cover some. I'll be covering some throughout the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Some of you have the weekend off, and congratulations to you wherever you are too. So it should be a good program. It's certainly one of that lends itself to archiving on Hometown Cable, and Calvin will, along with the many thousands of other programs we've done since the early 1980s. Thank you for watching Hometown Cable in our little corner. A bit, are you?
A lot.
Not as much as I am.
I tell you, it's been a rush.
All right, Mike Cook, how are you?
Fine, and yourself?
I'm just doing great. You're the commander of the Legion here, right?
Yes, I am. For the past 4 years, I've been the commander, and we have a great bunch of guys. And we have some old timers now, and we got to start recognizing them because they're getting up in age and they can't. They don't come to the Legion no more, so we try to get out and visit them.
You know, it's amazing because I grew up right around here. My father had a little mission church here in Hogansburg.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 1940s, before you were born, Mike.
Right.
But I enjoyed my time here, and I had so many lasting friends who were here, and we knew about the Code Talkers back in those days. But they've never received the recognition they deserve.
No, they haven't. I'm the veterans rep for the tribe, and I go to Washington once a year, and they've been bringing it up. Like we got to recognize them, and now it's come to the truth is coming out. And a lot of the Code Talkers didn't really talk too much about.
Of course not. A lot of veterans didn't talk too much about it.
Even today, they don't talk. The veterans are, they stay to themselves, and usually you got to reach out to them. They won't come to you. And right now, I'm trying to get them their benefits, and if they're lacking benefits, I try to help them get that. The Code Talkers. It's funny when you talk to them. When you're growing up, you get yelled at. And
I know the feeling. I remember it well.
Yeah, so that's it's been really good. Even the people that are left.
How many are still alive, Mike?
We have one that's still alive. His name is Levi Oakes, and last year, I think we spoke to him. He was out on the St. Lawrence fishing.
Come on.
Yeah, so it's good. He still does what he has to do.
He's got to be 90 years old, isn't he, or more?
I think he's around there, 88, I believe, or something. But yeah, he's up there in age. And a couple years ago, I lost Albert Tarbell. He contacted pneumonia, and he was in the best shape at the time. And next he came down with pneumonia, and next thing he was gone. And it's really sad that we don't reach out to them more.
It's really been quite a time, and we're going to spend a lot of time here today talking about code talkers.
Right.
Because there's still lots of people out there who have no clue.
Right, yes.
It goes to show you what native languages can do,
Oh, yeah.
how powerful
Yeah.
they are. And I can remember as a little kid, 7, 8 years old, trying to learn the
Yeah.
Mohawk language. I learned about 5 words before my dad got transferred somewhere else out of here. But I
Yeah.
love to listen to the language.
Yeah, I think usually the first words as you're getting older, the most common word native will hear is gawi lakson, which is you're bad, or adahukta, which you can, you basically can tell yourself what that means, because you're getting yelled at, But it's nice listening to them talk. They're always laughing when they're talking, It's pretty good.
So you were brought up right here.
Yes, yep. And-
Always a member of the community,
Yeah.
always fascinating. I used to love to, there was a little old lady, and of course I can't remember her name, in the 1940s, who made sweetgrass baskets.
Yeah.
And she was way up in her 80s or 90s then, and I would sit cross-legged on the floor, watch her weave the baskets, and tell me stories about the old days.
Yeah.
What a way to grow up.
Oh, I know. And then just last night, I invited a veteran. He was sitting on his porch, and I stopped in. He was in, I think, the Korean War, and he was telling me how he was on the front lines, And then his wife went into the house, came out with his medals and some clippings, and he said, we were right on the front lines. We had a machine gun. And he said a friend of his was about a quarter mile down the road. They were sending out mortars. He said, I went to talk to him, and then they started shooting again. He said, I went back, and he said, I didn't even know which road to take, the left or right to get back, So,
How many Mohawks were there in World War II that were code talkers?
I think a majority of our native talkers were in World War II that were on the reservation, and I think at the time there was like 20 or so, and it just started out. They started out just, hey, can I use the radio? I got a friend over, the next platoon down or company, and so they started talking, and they started to realize, there's a use for the code talkers, So, and then from there it grew. I guess. A friend of mine, Jeff Whalen, did a big background on our natives in the service, and he said Patton really pushed the native code talkers, which were mostly Mohawks at that time. And then later on, the Navajos were big. They signed up, enlisted in the Marines, and so they used a lot of the Mohawks, Navajos.
What was it about the Mohawk language that was so hard for the Germans to crack?
Oh my. It's hard to say.
Listen to the words and you can figure that out.
What was it?
I guess the pronunciation, it just probably be gibberish to somebody, like you see somebody on the streets today, you say "sego gyuntahage," which is hello and how are you doing. So you say it to somebody else, they wouldn't know what you were saying at all. It's just. Unless they've seen the sign language, the waving or the head nodding. And
are they still keeping it alive on the reservoir?
Yeah. They started. I remember in the 70s. They started having Mohawk teachers in our high school, and then
Absolutely.
my mom was a Mohawk teacher, and
really?
Yeah, she was, and she did, and then she interprets. She does interpretations of the Bible and songs, for the Mohawk singers. So she's into the community a lot there. Yeah. So.
The young people hanging on to it?
Yeah. Before they go into grade school, they have an immersion on the Canadian side. So a lot of the parents will send their kids down, and everything is Mohawk. They try to get them, the customs and. It's really nice because every year we get St. Regis Mohawk Council School there. They invite the veterans down for a meal, and they'll do dances for us. And then we go down to Jishnai School, and they have a breakfast for us. They really appreciate the veterans, and they draw us all kinds of pictures. And so now I start to hang on to these pictures when these kids get growing up. I said I kind of thought you'd be an artist when you got older. So
after all these years, how do you feel about today?
Oh, it's a great moment. It's a great moment, to recognize these people. A lot of them were really quiet and never told anybody. And now they're being recognized, and it's great for the community. It's really great for the community. And I noticed the other tribes I've talked to, they're having ceremonies, and it's really good for the community. As this was starting out, I said, well, how many people are we looking at? And they said, oh, we're going to get about 300 or 400, and then all of a sudden, now it grew, So the community is really coming out for this, yeah.
How many different groups are here represented today besides yours?
I think all 4 groups. We have Navy, the Army, the Marines. I think there might be a Coast Guard or so in there. Air Force. We have a lot of older veterans were in the Air Force. One guy at our meeting said he was in the Air Force, and his buddy said they didn't even have airplanes when you were in. So, so we have a really good turnout at our meeting.
This is a really beautiful facility. I've never seen it before.
Oh my
I went
God.
to a lot of lacrosse games,
Yeah,
where too, in the olden days.
Yeah, they just put this up. It was donated labor by the iron workers and
No
some.
kidding.
Yeah, they just finished. Like the steel putting up the building. I believe it was in the spring. I believe because over the winter they were recognized at a dinner. Yeah, excuse me for a second. I just want to take a drink.
Oh, by all means, take a drink. Talk about tradition, Mike. Steelworkers. I worked on construction for a long time before I got in the media business, and how many steelworkers did I trust with my life on that rigging on the big jobs?
Oh my God!
Best in the world.
Oh, then you see them
Fearless.
way up.
Fearless.
Yeah, they
Crazy
are
people.
fearless. And so that's why I went into the plumbing business. You stayed on the ground.
Well, it's great to be here today. It's great to see
thank you.
such a big crowd. I'm so proud to have had a contact as a child, and I looked down the list of names in the program, and guess what? Those are names that have been here on this reservation ever since I was 5 years old.
Yeah, you look at it, and we had trouble because a lot of them they go by their middle name instead of their first name. So they had, there was a little discussion about that. Hey,
Levi.
Yeah,
for
Levi,
example.
exactly. Yeah, he was going by his middle name instead of his first name. So
Lewis is his real name.
Yeah, and we have Barney Rourke. He's a veteran, and he's still moving around. Marine, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, I think a lot of them, and they're very proud of what they did accomplish in the service. So, yeah, it was really good.
And a lot of the people I see here today, and certainly the people I knew 60, 70 years ago, were proud to be Native Americans, were proud to call themselves Indians.
Right.
Now it's not necessarily politically correct.
Right.
But I still will always call it the St. Regis Mohawk Indian Reservation.
Yes,
as long as I live, and I smile every time I drive through here.
Yeah. It's a proud nation, It's a proud nation.
And it should be.
Yes. Yeah.
Even better today. These medals have been a long time coming, so I think it's about time. Can you imagine?
Yeah, my God, 50 years or so, and
60 years, 70 years. Think about it.
Oh my God,
World War II was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I may be the only one in here that's old enough to remember. So I'm glad for what you're doing in the Legion, because you're giving back every day.
Right.
You got a good bunch of people.
Yep. And
picked a perfect day. No big storms.
It couldn't be a better day for this. A little breeze would help, but I guess this is good enough.
I was looking around to see if there are any national media, international media. I don't know if there are any Canadian television stations.
I think I did see Canadian media come in. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Mike, you're the best. I want to shake your hand.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for what you're doing here today.
You're welcome. You have a good day.
Let me get your name and spell.
We found out that the last surviving code talker, Levi Oakes, is here in the front row, just exactly where he's supposed to be, being interviewed by friends from the Watertown Times. And it's so great to be in the presence of somebody. Levi, how are you?
Not too bad.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to butt in.
Continue. No,
It's
sorry. Go
so
ahead.
glad to meet you. My name is Gordy Little, Levi.
Oh yeah,
Good to
good.
see you. Many years ago in the 1940s, my dad was a minister and had a church here, Reverend Little, back in the 1940s. So you've been here all your life,
Oh yeah, yeah,
except for the time you spent in the service, right?
yeah.
How long did you spend?
Couple and a half years.
What is it?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years?
Yeah.
What did you think it was going to be like when you went in, Levi?
Oh, I was a little bit too young then that time.
How old were you, 18?
18. I just turned 18.
Come here, child.
Uncle Sam got me.
Isn't that amazing? So actually, where did you serve? Where did you go?
Asiatic.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Pacific. Yeah.
Well, who first approached you and said, "Hey, Levi, let me hear you talk Mohawk"? Who said that? Who first told you that you could use that language as a code language?
Well, it's in the service. I got it through the service.
They realized that the Mohawk language was a good language and nobody could break the code, right?
That's right. I talked to a few people there on the field.
So you did. How long did you do that? The whole time you were in?
Most of it, yeah.
Can you tell
Yeah,
us about? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of the experiences that you had while you were over there?
Well, it's same as the service people, that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Whenever you want to talk to somebody, well, just give them a call, that's it. It's a lot of questions they ask and stuff like that. Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't know how many secret messages you relayed in the Mohawk tongue, do you, Levi?
Well, if I can't talk it out, I'll give them a smoke signal.
You know what? My understanding was it started out with guys like you just talking to somebody in another outfit, another unit, and talking in your language, and somebody said, "Hey, we can use this guy."
Oh, yeah.
Can I ask how old you were when you joined the service?
What's that again?
18.
18?
18, yeah.
And Levi, how old are you now?
Huh?
How old are you now?
Let's see. 91.
91.
You don't look a day over 87 and a half, Levi.
Oh, it's still young.
You know, for a long time, people,
around.
you know, for a long time after the war, even during the war, people didn't talk about code talkers.
Yeah, I know.
Now look at the people who came here to honor you today. That's pretty darn nice, isn't it?
Boy, there's a lot of people there.
A lot of good friends over the
Yeah,
years.
that's right.
Well, you're the last of the Mohawk code talkers. You know that, right?
I guess so. I don't know.
Well, you're gonna live to 117, so you'll have time for a lot more honors.
What did you? How did you feel when they asked you to begin speaking Mohawk in the Army? Did you understand what they wanted you to do?
Yeah, I understood a little bit, you know. Then I went to school for it, and they taught me a lot of things, you know, in Louisiana.
What kind of messages did you deliver?
Oh, we talk about it on a phone, you know, a few wires out in the jungles, and that's what we talk. It's to give you a piece of paper and read on it what you want to say.
And you did it okay.
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
You're still speaking Mohawk,
Oh yeah, that's right.
but not to the Germans.
No.
His name is Levi Oakes. He's the last surviving code talker from this reservation, even though there were quite a few that were, you might say, inducted into using that. I'm sure he didn't join the Army to become a code talker. There was something that developed. And I think it might be important to point out once again that nobody ever broke the code.
None of them, you know, and it's great to know that there were so many Mohawk code talkers, because I think most of us are familiar with the Navajo code talkers that seem to have gotten the publicity. But
Well, these people are telling me that the Mohawks did it first.
well,
And since I'm here on the reservation, I'll agree with every word of that.
well, they are the First Nation, so why not?
Of course.
But it's just an incredible, and I think, there's probably not a lot of younger people who understand and realize how important this was, that we're able to get messages back and forth and not get worried about what we're saying or what they were saying being stolen from us, because nobody could understand except another Mohawk what they were saying.
In this day and age, there are myriad ways technologically to decode messages. Back then, there were only certain numbers. There were decoding machines and all kinds of stuff, and we developed some pretty complicated codes. But to think that you would engage the services of Mohawk Native Americans, Mohawk Indians, to send very important messages, it pleases me a great deal, and of course it thrills both of us to be here today on the reservation. The ceremonies will probably be getting underway in about 10 minutes, Calvin, and to echo what everybody else has said so far, it's about time.
It certainly is. We better get out of the way before
I think so.
we get asked to move.
The smile never changes. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, how are you?
I'm doing very well. This was a very meaningful day.
Are you wilting?
No, although it is pretty hot.
You're a pretty strong lady. You told me you didn't get the list of names until 10 minutes before.
I had a meeting with the tribal leadership before, and we had the list of names, but I didn't realize I was reading the citation, so it was a real honor to be able to do that and present the medal to all of the families, and then of course to Levi Oakes, who is the sole surviving Mohawk code talker.
Several people use this phrase, it's about time.
Absolutely. The amount of work and research that went into finding the information about all these men who served in World War II, it's far past the deadline of when they should have been recognized, but this was an important time for their family, especially given that it's Memorial Day weekend. It is about time, and I was so honored to help ensure that each family was recognized.
Some days in Congress are better than others.
This was a very, very meaningful day.
Important for everybody.
Important for everybody, and as you can see, there are hundreds of people here today from the community. There were 563 chairs, and before the ceremony started, every chair was taken. It was standing room only.
I was going to count. I'm glad you knew that.
They told me ahead of time.
Now can you go rest somewhere and have a good meal?
I have other events for Memorial Day weekend. It's a busy weekend. I was at the Saratoga National Cemetery this morning.
Oh, you were?
And I have a few more events this weekend. But it's an important time to pay tribute to those that have sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation.
We really appreciate being here. It was a very heavy, important, profound event for me, and we thank you so much for being
Thank you. And thank you for covering this event. The highlight was Levi Oakes and the families.
Isn't he amazing?
Yes.
Elise, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye. Calvin Castine and I have covered many events for Hometown Cable over the years. He many more than I have. And some of them have been prestigious. This one was over the top, exceptional, deeply moving. And if you didn't show some emotion by watching this program, you just don't have a heart. Again, our thanks to everybody who showed up here today, but primarily thanks to our audience for Hometown Cable for watching the program today, honoring the code talkers from World War I, World War II, here at the St. Regis Mohawk Reservation near the Canadian border, not far from Messina. It's been an extreme pleasure. Who knows what's going to happen the next time we go somewhere, but we'll have to start very early if we want to top this. Thank you, as always, for making contributions, if you can, to Hometown Cable. Just send a check or a large $500 bill or even a small $500 bill to Hometown Cable, Calvin Castine, Ridge Road in Champlain. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.